Hello, everybody, one and all, on this Monday. It is January the 5th, and this is 270 weather, weather for the 270 area code and beyond. We're coming to you live this evening at 7:23 p.m. on this December 5th. It's been a good day. It's been a really good day. I mean, the sunshine. It's been, fairly nice, breezy, not that bad. After starting in the 20s this morning, we ended up in the 60s today, and we're going to continue in the 60s for the next several days, as a matter of fact. And then we're going to take a look at the severe weather threat, and that's what I want to start with tonight. All of this, really warm air, it, you know, it gives us that time, this time of the year, it gives us that little bit of a pause to think, when we have several days of 60 and 60 plus degree weather, and maybe, as you'll see, even close to 70-degree weather, that kind of makes us go, maybe we should pay attention to this. And that is exactly what the National Weather Service and the Storm Prediction Center is looking at when they show you this. This is the outline and the risk area for the possibility of severe storms. And this area is what we call a 15% chance that anywhere in this yellow shaded area, let me see if I can do this without messing it up. I'm trying to freehand this. So, yeah. So, yeah, there it is. 15% chance that there could be severe weather on day 5, which for us is going to be sort of late Thursday into Friday. And will it be a real threat, or is it going to be something that we just look at and go, well, okay, so is there going to be something that really comes from this? And I know what you're thinking, and you know what I've said before about a severe weather threat this time of the year, that it can happen. It has happened before. But is this particular threat, is this one that we need to pay attention to? So let's dive into this together. So we're talking about a fairly big area stretching all the way down along the Mississippi River. Here is the Storm Prediction Center discussion. So the first thing they note here is model differences on day 3, Wednesday, in the evolution of this whole thing coming together. Now, this low confidence in a greater than low probability of severe risk on Thursday is what they're saying, this doesn't look like your typical severe weather setup. And the reason why is because as this system comes in, it's going to have a lot of shear, a lot of wind shear. And if you've heard me describe this before, wind shear is where the wind changes speed and direction with height. So here we are on the ground. The winds may be coming in from probably, I would say, from the south and southwest. But then as you go up a couple of thousand feet, maybe 10,000 feet, then 20,000 feet. The higher up you go, the winds start to change direction from the south and southwest to more, west and then northwest as you go up, well, that causes what we call shear. A lot of, pilots, they have to deal with shear on a regular basis. They don't like it. Shear is a bad thing. And in weather, shear can be a bad thing because it gets the atmosphere to begin spinning as you go up. Now, that doesn't always mean just because you hear the word spin, does that mean that it's going to be tornadic? All right. But that spin, that just unidirectional shear happens pretty much in every thunderstorm. But when it's severe weather, you got to have that wind shear. You also have to have what we call CAPE, and that's the convective potential energy that's there. If we have that, then even those two things are some pretty good ingredients to develop severe weather. This is going to be one of those situations where we have high shear but low CAPE. In other words, the instability, the CAPE, the instability where we have the sun that comes out and heats up the surface of the earth, there's going to be very little of that. So we have one, but in the wintertime, you don't need all the ingredients together. You can have 2 or 3 ingredients together, like the wind shear without the instability, but you've got the moisture, you've got the temperature, you've got the dew points. And I'm looking at dew points here as we get into, say, Thursday night into Friday. Well, and I'm looking at, some 55, 57, almost 6. Oh, wait. Now I see, as I look at my little page here, where I make my markings on the raw data, it's showing low 60s for like late Thursday night into early Friday. And with the winds coming in pretty good, we can have wind gusts of 30, 40 miles per hour. But if we get something developing, it's going to be like the last couple of times when we have a system come through and the winds blow and blow and blow. And the number one threat ends up being potential wind damage, not necessarily a tornado. If you'll recall, the last 2 times in the last almost couple of months that we've had this same kind of setup, it's not been that severe. There have been gusty winds, yes, and there have been a few warnings, but as far as actual, tornadoes and things like that, there were a couple that were EF zeros and EF ones, and those were mainly north of us. So that's why they're saying here there's low confidence and a rather low probability severe weather risk, because there is not a lot of red flags. There may be a couple of things that make them go, yeah, we need to put that little outlook out there. We need to draw that out there, and just 15% chance that you could see something severe. They're looking at the peak right here. Peak severe weather potential appears to be centered on day 5, Friday. So that's Thursday night into Friday is where we're looking at this as far as timing. Now, as they go on to their discussion here, a lot of this is a lot of modest synoptic scale predictability, blah blah blah. They're using the terminology that you're not going to understand. But basically, what they're saying is here, the reason they're putting out this outlook area is that there is enough of a high shear, low CAPE, high moisture, dew point, wind, setup here to say that there could be indeed a severe weather threat on Thursday, maybe late Thursday into early Friday. Right now, the way this looks and the way these things usually turn out, it could be a level 2 slight risk. That's not always the case, but usually when they put out a 15% risk like this far out ahead of the storm, this would be Friday, really Thursday night into Friday, then they feel pretty good that this could be a level 2 slight risk area once we get into day 3. But we still have another day to go before we're in that 3-day window of picking up more reliable, detailed data. We need a couple of more runs, model runs to go through, but they have enough right now to know that this system is going to have enough drive and enough potential to go, you know what, we need to color in this area and put out that possible risk. So that's the way it looks right now. So yeah, if somebody, here's, let's look at a couple of you commenting here. Corbin, is that a level 2 slight risk? Most likely it will become a level 2 slight risk. So that's the way they do these things. And then you have different ones like here is Micum. Some are saying it might not be as severe as once projected. Well, really, that's a matter of opinion, and it depends on who you listen to. There are some that when they're trying to lay this out and play it out, there's going to be an overstatement or there's going to be an understatement. That's the case usually every time. Somebody's going to blow it up, hype it up, and make it a big deal. And then somebody's going to undercut it, and then it turns out to be, something that turns out to be a little more robust, shall we say. So we have to, the bottom line is here, everybody's just going to have to pay attention and plan. As I always say, prepare for the possibility that this could turn out to be something that's a little more significant. This is the time of year when we can have these surprises, not really for you, for my audience and for those that watch on TV and watch me or watch Scott or Micah. You're not surprised. But there will be some people's like, well, I didn't know that was going to happen. When did that happen? When do y'all? I don't remember anybody talking about it. And there's always going to be those people. So, yeah. Here is Diane. Please keep an eye on Albany, Clinton County. I know we are outside 270 area code. Well, Diane, as I always say, it's called 270 weather for the 270 area code and beyond. You're the beyond. If you're in the 606, the 615, the 502, the 901, the 364, all of those, it's just called 270 weather because that's where I'm based out of, but I cover kind of this whole region. So yes, Diane, you're covered. Okay, don't worry. It is one of those situations where we're just going to have to keep an eye on what develops, but it's too soon. Now, this is what I get all worked up about as far as hyping the forecast. There's always going to be somebody who's like, well, here's what I think, and they'll even write that. My thinking is, and that, they'll get into grandstanding, and then when it doesn't turn out the way they predict, you don't hear from them for a while. They go silent because they know they got it wrong and they hyped it up, and it didn't turn out quite the way that they were looking. But look, here's the thing. Okay, so I can't go into every town. That would take all night. But here's the deal right now. You can see this, how far east it goes. It doesn't cover Bowling Green or Warren County, but as I've said before, weather does not follow straight lines, nor do they follow county lines or country lines or state lines, national line, no lines. There's no lines that weather follows. But when we draw these things, or when the Weather Service draws these things, they put them in these polygons, and it just gives us a kind of a general area that we think is best set up or will be best set up for something like this to develop. But if I were in Bowling Green or even Glasgow or even over here in Somerset and Gallatin, I mean, all these towns, I would just be prepared. That's my thing to you, is to be prepared. Basically, you have 4 days. 4 days from today to get ready for it. Now, if you put it off until the day of, that's not on me or the Weather Service. If you put it off and you don't prepare, that's your problem. This is where it's like, and if we're in a football game and I need a touchdown and I get my best running back, what am I going to do as the quarterback? I'm going to hand that ball off to him or pass it to him, receiver, to try to make a touchdown. This is where I pass the football off to you or hand it off to you, because at some point I've got to make sure that you understand the play and what's going to happen. When I give it to you, then it's your responsibility to take that information and run with it. And what you do with it is completely up to you. But I've told you the risk, it's only 15%, granted, but in the coming days, and I would say by day 3, as we get into Wednesday, then we're going to start to see the window closing. And when that window closes and gets tighter and we get closer to the event, that's when we start getting more details about how this thing is going to play out. Between now and then, it really is just a big guessing game. And that's the way we have to play this, for now anyway. Let me show you some other things, okay? I don't want to spend a whole lot I've already spent too much time on it. But let me show you rain chances, okay? So this is tomorrow. There is going to be a cold front that comes in. Ahead of that front, there's going to be these little spots where a little bit of light rain will show up. Then as the front moves east, I don't think many of you will even get rain. I think it'll be like sprinkles or drizzle. If you happen to get something tomorrow, that's going to be the extent of it. And then Wednesday, that all moves east. Here's day 3, which then is Thursday, according to this. We go from Wednesday into Thursday. Now we're starting to see rain chances. As you can tell here in Bowling Green, well, it says 0, but really we're looking at a little bit of light rain. Back to the west, we're talking about 1/10 of an inch. And then further back west, we're talking 3/10 of an inch of rain. As you head back into parts of Missouri, the blue is indicating a 1/2 inch of rain. So gradually the rain is going to come in. There's going to be a warm front on Thursday that's going to come through. That's going to establish the warm air sector. And then the rain begins to push in. Here we go into, let's go to a little bit further out. The multi-day, first couple of days, as I mentioned, not much. Here we begin to see days 1 through 3, what's going to happen starting Thursday. But let's go days 1 through 5, which would include not just Thursday, but also Friday and Saturday. And we see rainfall really jump up. We're talking 1.5 inches in these purple shaded areas, Glasgow to Monticello to Somerset to Cookeville. Inside of that, 1.8 just north of Cookeville. Here in Bowling Green, we're talking 1.33 inches projected rainfall. So, yeah, the rainfall is going to be good. Some places may even get closer to 2 inches of rain. And that's what those darker purple spots are. So the rain is going to be, I think the rain is going to be the bigger deal. And that's why the Cape, the available potential energy, the convection, the heating is going to be low, even though we're going to be warm. It is not going to be an unstable atmosphere based on that, because we're going to keep clouds and we're going to keep it rainy Thursday into Friday. And that is going to prevent us from having what we call the surface-based thunderstorms, those kind of convective storms like we have in the spring and summer that can go severe. Our severe will come from the dynamic of the wind and wind shear, and the lift of the cold front as it passes through. When that cold front comes through, it's really going to force that system to potentially produce something severe. And that's why we're keeping such an eye on it. Okay. Let's move on. Let's go to the current conditions. Well, I'll bring you up to date on everything else here. Temperatures did warm up today. We had highs, upper 40s, or actually right now, it's upper 40s, low 50s, but I've got a few spots like Burkesville is at 38, and then Morgantown is at 40. So I have a little cool spot here and there. What about for high temperatures today? Most of you got into the 60s, low 60s, even some mid 60s showed up in a few spots. After we started in the 20s this morning, we had lows around 24 here in Bowling Green. Look at that, 21 in Burkesville. I mean, it was cold this morning, but it didn't take long to warm up, and that's because of a south wind. And we still have that south wind. Even right now, this is current winds from the south at 5 to 10, even up to 15. So there's still a bit of a breeze that is out there, and most of it is back here into parts of western Kentucky. Some winds of 15 to almost 20 miles per hour. Those winds are going to be with us all night tonight and during the day tomorrow. And tonight, we're not going to get that chilly. Not as cold as it was this morning when we hit the 20s. The wind, that south wind, is going to keep us milder overnight tonight. No precipitation past 24 hours. We may get a little bit tomorrow, as I mentioned, but it's just not going to be much. Okay, let's go to the surface map now. And we see that things are fairly quiet. Here comes our next little clipper system that's going to arrive tomorrow and bring us that small chance of rain. It is going to be warm, as you can see, warm front to the north. Here comes our little clipper. And as we get into Tuesday afternoon, there's your little bit of light rain, even tomorrow morning. Some of you may see a little spotty shower or some drizzle or a sprinkle, and that's way before the cold front gets here. Here's Tuesday midday at the noon hour, maybe a little spotty shower east of I-65. But this front is going to come through pretty quickly. We go into Tuesday evening, 6 o'clock. Most of the shower activity, if there's any, would be off to the east of us in eastern Kentucky. There's our little system coming through. And by Wednesday morning, it's out of here. Now, the Nashville Weather Service office has put in fog, some patchy, dense fog for Wednesday morning. That could happen here too. It's just that the Louisville National Weather Service office, where we get our forecast for the majority of the 270, does not see that. So, looking at temperatures tonight and dew points, you've got a low maybe around 47, 48. I'm just looking at the raw data. 47, 48, and then you have dew points around 50. Well, there's the numbers are pretty close together, and with a south wind, breezy at times, that could keep us from getting fog. But with the air temperature and the dew points together, like that, close together, yes, it would kind of raise the red flag for some patchy, dense fog overnight tonight, early tomorrow. So let me just throw in, even though it's not officially in the forecast, some of you could see fog late tonight, early tomorrow morning. But more so, it looks like it'll be the case in Middle Tennessee and down toward the Nashville area. It's not officially in the forecast, but some could happen. I think the winds will be breezy enough, though, to keep it from being really dense fog. And I think that's why the Louisville Forecast Office didn't put it in the forecast. But we'll see. Just in case, prepare for some fog, maybe, tomorrow morning. All right, after that front passed by, high pressure builds in. Notice this is 6 p.m. Wednesday. Notice that the winds are continuing out of the south and west as high pressure moves east. That's a natural thing that happens. You can also see off in the distance moisture that will start to come in from the next system. And here we go. Here is Thursday morning, 6 a.m. We could be looking at some light rain showers, warm temperatures along that front. This is not the main system. This is the little kind of the precursor to the stronger system that's back here to the west, the one that's going to bring in the colder air. There's actually two cold fronts. So this first system will bring us the first wave of showers, perhaps a thunderstorm on Thursday. We get into Thursday night into Friday morning. Pretty good coverage here. You see the darker green, good coverage of rain and thunderstorms. This is where we could pick up that 1 inch, inch and a half to 2 inches of rain. But the main system will be here, as you can see. And look behind it. Look at all this wintry weather back behind it. That's because it's getting colder, a lot colder. We're going to be nice and warm with these southwesterly breezes, while on the backside of the low, it's going to be a north wind, northeast at first, then north to northwest, back behind the system, and it's going to draw down a lot of cold air. Wind is going to be a big deal with this system. Here we go now into Saturday morning, and the front has passed. Now, what's going to happen is Friday afternoon, Friday evening, this front is going to make its way through Bowling Green, southern Kentucky. We'll have rain, thunderstorms, and then as the colder air comes in, we're going to have behind the front, it just reset on me. Let me get back there. There you can see the winds shift direction. Notice they're from the southwest ahead of the front, and then they shift direction from the northwest behind the front. And there's little pieces of energy that's going to rotate around that low pressure system. As it moves into the Great Lakes, here's a little short wave passing through, and then here's another one back behind it. So these things are going to pass like this behind the low, kind of like as spokes in a wheel go around, except backwards in reverse. And so this low and these little disturbances are going to draw down not only the cold air, but keep moisture, at least in the upper flow, as this thing passes through the Great Lakes. So there's Saturday. Here's Sunday. Now, the majority of any kind of wintry weather is going to stay primarily either north or east of us. I don't think we're going to see any kind of wintry weather as this system moves on, but it is going to get cold for the weekend. This is Sunday, and here's next Monday. It's just going to be dry after that. It'll stay chilly, but I think we'll begin to warm up after that. But as far as winter weather, I do not see that happening. All right. Here's, I'm just checking some of your comments here. This is Greg. I like the wind information you provide. It helps me plan for drone flights. Oh, Greg. Drones. Well, I wish I had one. It looks like fun. Some of you may know Nico Beeson. He does a lot of stuff over Bowling Green, and he is like really, really good at those drone flights. We're going to try to tap into Nico and maybe get some things done on News 40 in that regard. Sierra is like, I'm really hoping the severe threat on Friday isn't too bad. Me too. I don't want it to be. Hopefully it will not. But still, we need to pay attention to it because it could, between now and then, turn a little bad. Or, as the data comes in, it may look like, you know what, it's not going to be that bad for some reason. But let's inspect this from a different look here, because it's very possible that things could go awry, but I'm hoping that it doesn't. Let me move myself. I tried to reposition this box, and maybe for some maps it's okay, but I'm going to move myself here out of the way where you can see the maps better. Okay, here we go. Now, it's better. Now I got it positioned where I want it. Okay, so this is the European model. It's been doing a good job of keeping up with the flow, the overall flow. It's becoming more of a go-to model. It's just one of many, but this one I like to show because it just seems to fit us, and what I want to show and what I want to talk about. So here's tonight and early tomorrow morning. Here is that little bit of light rain. Here's the little front that's going to come through and produce just this little bit of light rain. Maybe. I think it's going to be, for the most part, drizzle, sprinkles. I'm thinking about 85 to 95% of you will not see this, will not see any rain tomorrow. We're going to see clouds, and it's going to be breezy and warm. But as far as rain, very little. So tomorrow will be one of those days when one of these little clippers come through and there's just not much happening. Notice that the low to our north is 999 millibar. That's not that deep. But as it moves on through the Great Lakes, notice it does strengthen just a little bit, goes 998. And then here we go into Wednesday, Tuesday night into Wednesday, stays about 998, 999, but it does move away. It kind of moves through the southern Great Lakes and then through Lake Erie, then the New England states and away from us, okay? And as far as bringing in cooler air, there's a little dip here, but it's not going to be much. So this is Wednesday. We go on. Wednesday, still, this is a warm flow, big ridge in the middle. Things are looking warm. What I should do is I've got colors I can choose from. So I'll start using some of these colors. This is all warm air, okay? Big, high pressure here in the middle and the warm flow, okay? So now we go on to Wednesday into Thursday. Now this is when things begin to get set up. Here is our low pressure system right here. This is the upper low. There's also a surface low that we're going to pay attention to. It's not on this map. But the low pressure 1000 millibar, you may think, it's not, it's not bad. But what it's going to help do is bring in a Pacific flow of moisture at first. But eventually, as it moves northeast, it's also going to bring in abundant Gulf moisture. And it's that combination, Pacific flow, Gulf flow, kind of working together to set us up for Thursday into Friday. So let's go Thursday morning into the afternoon. Notice the low then strengthens a little bit more from 1,000 to 996. The winds start compacting a little bit more, and there's your moisture flow coming in from the south and west, surging northward. Here we go into midday Thursday, and there's going to be a warm front attached to the low pressure system, and that warm front will start to elevate the rain and bring us possibly a few what I call elevated thunderstorms. In other words, with the lift of the warm front, there might be some higher based rumbles of thunder, but usually those are not severe. We could have a few thunderstorms on Thursday, but I don't see the severe risk at the moment on that. Our front would then be kind of like this. Now, this is not a very, what we call negative tilted system. We kind of see those sometimes. We get a little concerned when we see the whole thing kind of in a negative tilt. If it's more of a positive tilt, usually less a risk of severe weather. But it's still too soon to say how this is going to play out. So here we go Thursday afternoon into Thursday evening, and you see it's still at 998 millibars. The front is still really, that's, with that being the upper low, the surface low is going to be back here a little bit further, co-located with, in other words, they'll be kind of separated, upper low, surface low. But out ahead of it will be the surge of moisture, the warm front, you can see it there, and then the cold front back behind it. But out ahead of this on Thursday night, there will be showers and thunderstorms. And yeah, some of those could be a little strong. You can't look at this map and go, oh, that's going to be, severe weather. You can't do that. Okay. One thing I can tell you is that look at these tight lines here. Those are what we call isobars, equal lines of pressure, and look how close together they are. So we're really going to have a strong southerly wind, very breezy, very windy. Winds could be 30, 40, maybe even up to 50 miles per hour around any kind of a stronger storm if we get those on Thursday night. So that will need to be certainly watched. But let's go into overnight Thursday and then into early Friday. Notice the upper low weakens. It goes to 1001 millibars. It starts to, when the numbers go up, it means the system is getting weaker. If I saw that low and the numbers start to go down, that means it's getting stronger. I know that's kind of flip side, opposite of what you would think, but that's how it works. So very kind of random, disorganized showers and thunderstorms that you see here on Saturday, or actually Friday morning. Here comes the big trough with the cold air. Look how deep that thing is. I mean, that's some big cold air that's going to come in behind this system. But that's not going to get here until really Saturday, well, late Friday night into Saturday. Let's go Friday, midday, afternoon. And here we go. More showers and storms. But notice, I want to back up just a little. Notice there's not really that much of a break. Look, it's raining, 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 raining. This is Friday mid-afternoon, Friday afternoon and evening. Heaviest of the rains then push further south, and then we get what I call this stratiform, and that's just a big word for big layers of clouds and rain that just covers pretty much a very broad area. It's not individual cells. That's good news. If we can keep it like this, that's why there's going to be low instability, low CAPE, but there's the high wind shear probability. Either one of those things could cause severe weather. When the two of them are together and are running high shear and high CAPE, that's when you look out for big tornado outbreaks. But a lot of other things have to happen too. But in this case, we have high wind shear, low instability, which is a good thing. But here comes our system, the actual cold front into Friday night, into Saturday. But look at all that rain. See, I think at this point, what I see, and it's hard to determine for sure, but I just see us having a lot of rain, a lot of wind, maybe a few strong storms, and then the cold air comes in and this thing moves off to the east on Saturday. So here comes the cold air, and look at it. Boy, oh boy. Now also look at the low up here in the Great Lakes. It deepens 994 millibar. And look at all the wind. Oh my goodness. Tight. We've seen this happen already several times this fall, and now the beginning of winter. We've seen the same thing, almost the same path. The low would be up in the Great Lakes, dragging a cold front. We get some of that throwback wind and cold air. But as far as a lot of severe weather, we don't see a lot of it. We may see a little. But we've seen this happen 2 or 3 times already, and it's doing the same thing once again. Yeah, that low, look at that, 987. It keeps getting stronger as it moves off into New England. And the cold, this is Sunday, now into Monday. Oh, notice what happens here Monday. Look at the cold air. The cold air begins to retreat as that low moves away. And look at this huge, big area of warm air. Look at the flow here. Very Pacific, very warm. It is going to, this is when we start to set up for the beginning of next week. And I think we're going to have this temporary chill, and then we're just going to warm up again. Now, there's another little trough that tries to make a run at us by next Wednesday. And then again on Thursday, look at those lows. They're not deep at all. But that's next Thursday, way off. A lot can change between now and then. I won't even go there. That's too far, way too far off in the distance to try to even figure what's going to happen there. So here we go with the model blender. And as you can see up there, it's, 65 tomorrow, near 60 on Thursday, actually Wednesday, behind that next front. And then the setup for, here's your Thursday, Friday, near 70-degree weather. Cold front comes in, knocks us down to 54. Look at this. We fall off that cliff. 68, 69, might as well say 70, and then we go to 54. And look at the low of 29. So we go from near 70 to 29 in a matter of 36 hours. It's happened before already, several times. Just within the last, 3 weeks? Last month? Then we start to recover some, as you see here, in the next week. Temperatures are a little more seasonable, mid-40s to around 50, lows in the 20s and 30s. This is more in line with where we should be for temperatures this time of the year. So it's not going to stay warm, and it's not going to stay cold. We're going to have these, oh, look, I'm doing the 6-7 thing. It's going to be like this. Oh, now I'm in with the kids now because I know how to do 6-7. Man, it's 6-7. Anyway, that's what we're looking at. Okay. All right, let's go back to some of your comments here. Sharon, isn't this sort of out of the normal for the month of January and February? Yes, to an extent, but as I said, we've seen these things happen before in January and February. But this time, this year, it does seem a little different in that we just cannot find that happy medium where we warm and we stay there, or we get cold and we stay there. It's the up and down and the up and down, and it just keeps doing this. It keeps doing the 6-7. It's like the atmosphere knows the 6-7, and it keeps doing it. It just keeps on doing it. And yes, this is a good point. I just saw this comment. The weather is giving me whiplash. That's exactly what's happening. Weather whiplash is a good way to put it. Here's Casey, still hoping for one good snow this year. Well, there's still time. I mean, it's only the beginning of January. We've got the rest of this month. We've got all of February. And remember, there have been times in March when we've seen snow, especially at the beginning of March. So, it's very possible. Very possible. So don't give up hope for those of you that are wanting snow. it's still very possible. Okay. Now, talking about the severe weather threat, maybe for Thursday into Friday, this thing still has to what I call bake. Okay. It's like when you're making a cake or a pie and you got to put it in the oven. This thing is still baking. All right. It's nowhere near done. Like I said, we're technically 4 days out. So if you see anyone on social media going ape over, oh, this big thing. Oh, it's going to be, scary, big. Just dismiss it. You're better off to dismiss it because it's way too soon to say that it's going to be bad, what we would call bad. But let me just say that R&R controls, when the weather does get bad, hopefully you are not only prepared on what you need to do, but maybe you've called them and you've set up an appointment to get you a Generac generator, the number one name in generators. And they can talk to you, come out, consult with you, whether you're a homeowner or a business owner. They can take a look and say, here's what you need. Here's how big of a generator you need. And then they back it up with the sales, the service, the installation, and really important, preventative maintenance. In other words, when you buy one of these Generac generators for your home or your business, they will set you up with a regular preventative maintenance plan. They come out, they check your Generac generator and make sure it's got what it needs so it can keep running and click on within seconds of your power going off. That's why these things are so great. So call R&R and just have them come out and you get to talk to them about what they can do and what you need. 270-777-2024. That's the number. It's right up there at the top of this graphic. 270-777-2024. Or you can go to rnrhvac.com or hit them up on their Facebook page, because with R&R controls, I hit the microphone, sorry, you'll never be without. One more thing before I go. I didn't get to do it last night. Oh, my hair is all messed up for some reason. Sorry about that. I got to look pretty because, Anyway, last night I did not get to that right there. Route 66, okay? So a lot of you know or probably have heard or seen the spot on television that I'm going on a 10-day trip on Route 66, the Mother Road. And this year, in fact, it kicked off today. Today was the official kickoff of the 100th anniversary of Route 66. It started on this day 100 years ago. Isn't that crazy? So all this year, the rest of this year, is going to be a big celebration along the road that stretches from Chicago all the way to the California coast, Santa Monica. So it's going to be huge. And we get to be a part of it. That is, we that sign up for the trip, for the 10-day trip with me and my wife, Sheila, we're going. We've set it up with Holiday Vacations, which is the same people that we've taken trips with for over 10 years. We've taken, when I was at 13, we took a number of trips. One of those was to Alaska. Then we just did the trip to Alaska a few months ago, and it was the same trip, and it was just as awesome. But when I heard that Holiday Vacations was going to offer the Route 66 trip, I went, bucket list. I got to go. I've only taken a little strip of 66 on my own, and that's from St. Louis down through Joplin and then to Baxter Springs, I think it's called, Oklahoma. Little town there where Phillips 66 and that logo started right there. Pretty cool. And I haven't done the beginning and I haven't done the end, but this trip starts in Oklahoma City. We fly out of Nashville in October. This is going to happen in October. We fly out of Nashville to Oklahoma City. Then we hop a charter bus and we go for hundreds of miles through the Grand Canyon, Southern Grand Canyon, and we go out toward Hoover Dam. Yeah, we're going to take the dam tour, like Chevy Chase in the movie. And then we're going to go Cadillac Ranch. We're going to go stop at all these cool little mom and pop places that's got all this memorabilia and old gas station signs and all kinds of cool stuff. And then we're going to go to past Cadillac Ranch, and then we're going to go all the way to Las Vegas. We're going to Vegas, baby. 10 days, Oklahoma City to Vegas, right along 66 in October. And I'd love for you to go with me. All the information on the trip is posted on our website at WNKY.com. There's a link where you can watch a little movie. Well, movie, it's a video. It's a couple of minutes long, but it outlines every single place we're going to go, the hotels where we're going to stay, the places where we're going to go eat. If you're like me and you love that kind of nostalgia, plus the fact that we're getting to do this trip on the 100th anniversary of the Mother Road, Route 66, it's just mind-blowing that we get to do this. But you got to get signed up soon, because I got a feeling like the Alaska trip, it's going to fill up fast. We sold out the Alaska trip. We had 42 people, and that's about kind of the limit. So get the information, go to WNKY.com. You'll see that, just kind of look around for it. You'll see it. There's a link where you can play that video. When you watch that video, you'll get a $100 credit on the money you pay for the trip. 10 days, 10 glorious days that we're going to spend on that road. And there's going to be stretches of that highway that's really the original. And then we're going to take some little detours here and there and just really see some incredible stuff. I cannot wait. And I would love for you to come with me. So let's take a look at that. Let's get that going. I want you to be a part of it. But we need you to get on board, or at least put a deposit down soon. You got a little time here, but not much. And it's going to go away pretty quickly. So I meant to talk about that last night, and I ran out of time, I forgot. Sorry. How could I forget? It's Route 66. Wow. All right, you guys, I'm done for this Monday evening. God bless you. I'll have more on the potential severe weather threat in the morning on News 40 Sunrise, News 40 at 9, News 40 at noon. In the meantime, God bless you. Thank you for watching, and have a great evening.